Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya nrutyorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste to everyone. We at Advaita Academy welcome you all to the 1 month long Oneness Festival, a global celebration of Adi Shankaracharya ji. In this session, we have a live talk by Dr. Jayakumar Ammangudi on Bhagavad Pad Adi Shankara's life and contribution, followed by Q&A. And then a dance video by Srimati Pratima Sagar, Kalamandalam, framing time in timelessness. Please stay back for both. And for the new attendees, we have 4 different sessions every day, 2 in the morning at 6 a.m. Indian Standard Time and 2 in the evening at 6:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Dr. Jayakumar S. Ammangudi studied Vedanta and Sanskrit for over 2 decades under His Holiness Swami Dayananda Saraswati of Arsh Vidya Gurukulam. With a B.Tech from IIT and a doctorate in chemical engineering, he worked in chemical industry. After having lived in US for 30 years, he studied full-time at Arsh Vidya Gurukulam and has been teaching Advaita Vedanta and Sanskrit in Coimbatore. He helps youth to discover their cultural identity and gives motivational talks to the school teachers. He is the founder of Indian History Awareness and Research USA and Arsh Seva Kendram, Coimbatore. You may type your questions and comments in the chat box, and I will pick up a few at the end of the talk for Dr. Jayakumar. Now, I humbly request Dr. Jayakumar to present his talk. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. And namaste to all of you tuning in today. I want to thank Indica Advaita Academy for giving me an opportunity today to join in this festival of oneness based on Advaita Vedanta, Advaita. Specifically, the nimitta being Shankara's Jayanti Adi Shankaracharya. So I'm very happy to share my views. Now, the topic of my talk today, even though Sanjeev ji mentioned life and contribution, that was an old title I had given. So a few days ago, the title I gave was, is Adi Shankara relevant today? Is Adi Shankara relevant today? That was the topic I gave. So I'm going to be talking on that topic. So we have to first understand a little bit about Shankara and Advaita Vedanta. So let me give an introduction, even though I think many of you probably already have an idea, but just so that we cover everybody, we can give some basics. So we are aware of what are called Purusharthas, which essentially represent what the human being is seeking. The human being, any part of the world is seeking, not just the Hindu or not just the Indian. And so Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, these are the Purusharthas. And most of us, we seek, of course, Artha, security. Kama is pleasure, any type of pleasure. And of course, Dharma. When we seek Artha and Kama, we seek them in keeping with Dharma. Means being righteous, if you want to call it a rough translation of Dharma. This is how our life proceeds. Now, in the late 80s, I remember Donald Trump, the same Donald Trump whom we now call as the President of America, He was a businessman, and he's still a businessman. And I remember reading this. And he was into real estate, and not selling and buying one house, selling one house, buying one house, selling one house, buying three houses, not like that. This guy was buying and selling multi-storied hotels in many cities in America, like Las Vegas. And he was the richest person, and all the media was covering whatever he was doing, whatever transaction. And once the media asked him, Mr. Trump, you are the richest person and everything is going great for you. You must be the happiest person too. And you know what he said? I remember reading this interview in the Time magazine, and he said, I have a lot of money, but I don't have time to enjoy my money. This is what he said. I still remember that. So, what about us, people like us, who are also doing so many things to be happy, presumably? Whatever we do, we want to be happy. But that happiness seems to be coming and going, coming and going. And so, we talk about this search for self-adequacy, search for freedom, search for liberation. All these words are suddenly start becoming relevant to us. And some paper back we pick up, and then suddenly moksha becomes more interesting to us. What is moksha? So here we are told the story of Kuchu. When I was in school, I read the story. In school, one of the grades, third grade, fourth grade, or fifth grade. And this man was, imagine an Indian family, woke up and he did his duties, and then he was reading the newspaper. In those days, reading the newspaper was a very big thing. So read the newspaper, and then, because he wears glasses, wearing glasses is normal those days. Wearing glasses, reading the newspaper. Then somebody came, knocked on the door, he went, answered it, came back, and then wanted to read the newspaper. Now he cannot find his glasses. So he can't read the newspaper. Can't find his glasses. And I'm going to pick up my glasses here. This may be more. So he goes to read the newspaper. He cannot find his glasses. And now he's searching. This side, this table doesn't have it. He looks at this table. It's not there. Oh, I went to the door. So he goes towards the door near the Almirah there. It's not there. He calls everybody up. Hey, Chintu, Pinky, where are my glasses? And he goes on searching. And the other people are now having fun because they know what the problem is. But this guy Kuchu is unaware of the problem. He's searching for his glasses and he cannot find it. Will he ever find it? He can call the cops. He can call anybody he wants, but he cannot find his glasses. Why? And then, of course, the story goes that he looked himself up in the mirror, and then suddenly this search comes to an end. He feels so silly, and that's it. He doesn't respond. He just looks at everybody and he just quietly goes back and continues to read the newspaper. Because he realized the mistake he made. The mistake is that he was already the possessor of the glasses. But the mistaken assumption is that I am not the possessor of my glasses. And so I must look for it. And I keep looking for it. I will never find it. This in a nutshell is what Advaita Vedanta talks about. That I am already Purnaha. I am already Ananda Swarupaha. And I seem to go after Ananda and it doesn't seem to come. So the story is like that. And so that Ananda Swarupa that I am is already established. Already established means what? I cannot create that Purnatvam by doing anything. Even though my pursuit, I want to accomplish something, I want to get a PhD so I can be better, I want to get this, take this extra courses so I can get a better salary. This is how my life keeps going on. But then Advaita Vedanta says that Purnatvam that I am seeking, I already am. Okay, I already am. Therefore, then what should I do? Well, I don't know that I'm already the embodiment of Ananda. And they say Atma is Sachidananda. And that Sachidananda has to be understood as myself. And instead I have taken myself to be this body, myself to be this mind, etc. Okay. So Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. So this Jagat, this world that appears absolutely real to me is not absolutely real. Yes, there is a world, no doubt. And for that, we have a beautiful Sanskrit word called Mithya. Mithya. Mithya means that which depends or that which cannot exist independent of something else. If you take a pot, and I used to have a pot here, but I don't see it. Imagine a clay pot, and pot thinks it is absolutely real, but then the existence of the pot depends on the existence of clay. If the clay says goodbye, then pot doesn't exist. So this pot, as the story goes, has to recognize that my nature is clay. In fact, I am clay. Pot is a superimposition on clay. Okay. So this is how this idea of Jagan Mithya, Jagat Mithya, and then Brahma Satyam is there, Atma Satyam. Then the truth of this world is Brahma. And what is the relationship between the truth of this world and the truth of myself? Well, both are identical. Aham Brahmasmi. Another Mahavakya. So these words are there, these statements are there, these statements are called Mahavakyas, which have to be understood. Why understood? Because my fundamental problem is ignorance, is based on ignorance. I do not know my true nature, therefore I must know my true nature. There is only one thing that can remove ignorance. What can remove ignorance? There is only one thing that can remove darkness. Suppose the room is dark. You can't say, I will do yogasana and make the room bright. You are welcome to do yogasana, but the room will not become bright. You can't do some other activity. No activity can brighten this room except bringing light into this room. Likewise, this ignorance can be removed only by knowledge. This is the essence of Advaita Vedanta. A lot can be said, but here I'm watching my time here. So this idea of knowledge becomes very important, which Adi Shankara brings out in his works, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Now, this knowledge idea comes about. I want to tell you another story from the Chandogya Upanishad. There is a dialogue between our favorite Narada and Sanat Kumar. All of us know Narada very well. How can we forget Narada? All the old movies we've seen him, and Puranas is always there, going from Vaikuntha to Kailasa and visiting Indraloka and having a lot of fun, saying Narayana, Narayana. Now, he goes to Sanat Kumara, and you know what he says? Hey Bhagavan, I have read a lot, I know a lot. And he lists all the things he knows. You know what he lists? I know Rigveda, I know Yajurveda, I know Samaveda, I know the fourth one, Atharvana Veda. I'm actually quoting Narada, okay? quoting the Upanishad. I know the fourth Atharvana Veda. Like this he goes on. I know Vyakaranam, I know Nirukti, I know all these Vedangas. I know Bhuta Vidya. Bhuta Vidya means the knowledge of all the spirits. I know Sarpa Vidya, the knowledge of taming serpents. Okay. I know Kshatra Vidya. Kshatra Vidya means the knowledge of warfare. I know Nakshatra Vidya. Nakshatra Vidya is astronomy. I know all these things. You know what he says? Hey Bhagavan, aham shochami. I am grieving. I am sad, he says. Can you believe Narada saying I am sad? That statement makes me sad actually. To hear Narada saying I am sad. And he says, I am a mantravit. I know all the mantras that are there, but I am not an atmavit. I am not the knower of Atma. I am a mantravit, natu atmavit. Look at that. And then he says, I have heard that tarati shokam atmavit. Shokam tarati, crosses sorrow, overcomes sorrow. Who overcomes sorrow? Atmavit. The knower of Atma overcomes sorrow. I've heard it. Narada himself is so humble, he says, I've heard it. And then he says, hey Bhagavan, hey Sanat Kumara, Maharaj, you please, Shokasya Param, something the word uses, make me cross this ocean of samsara, ocean of sorrow. This is what he says. So here, look at that. Atmavit Shokam Tarati. Atmavit means what? The knower of Atma. So knowledge becomes very important. And we get that idea from all these stories and the teachings. Now, one more topic we have to cover. I wanted to mention, hey, what about, you're talking about knowledge that removes this ignorance, which is what you're saying is moksha. But what about all this heaven and all that? I've heard of Swarga, I've heard of Kailasa, I've heard of Vaikunta, I've heard of Indraloka. People are ready to go to these lokas. Isn't that moksha? Well, Advaita Vedanta says you are welcome to go to any of these places. The minute you say it is a place, that means it is finite. It has a beginning. If you say I went to Swargaloka, then okay, something has begun. When you say I went, whenever there is venting, venting means going, then there will be deventing also. There will be coming also. Going is there means coming will be there. So you are welcome to go. But then, Kshine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in one of the chapters. So you are Tetam Bhuktva Vishalam Swargalokam. So these people go to Swargaloka and then they enjoy it, and then after the punya is exhausted, they will enter what is called Martyalokam. Martyalokam means a world where death is going to be there. Death is going to be there. Like this earth, you can say. Okay. So therefore, this idea of going to heaven also gets negated from this discussion. And therefore, the pursuit will become one of seeking knowledge. Knowledge of Atma, and knowledge of Atma brings in knowledge of the world. And so, this is how the analysis goes. Now, what did Shankara do? Now, who talks about all this? Of course, our Shastram talks about it. The Vedas talks about it. In particular, the portion of the Vedas called Vedanta, Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. So the Vedanta, which is another name for Upanishads, is what talks about this Atma Vidya, Brahma Vidya. Why not study the Upanishads and that's it, then I will get moksha? Well, the problem is these Upanishads, they are all a bit cryptic, and you can't use a dictionary and figure out these meanings. You need somebody to actually unfold the meaning of these words. So I'm reviewing the Bhashyam of Kathopanishad, and some of the verses, without Shankara's help, you can't even understand. Therefore, you need somebody like Shankara to come in, and then, like an avatara, he comes in 2500 years ago, and then he writes commentaries at the age of what? They say at the age of 2, he learned Malayalam. At the age of 3, he learned Sanskritam. At the age of 5, he mastered the Vedas. At the age of 7, he got sannyasa. Then what? At the age of 8, he graduated from the Veda Patashala, and then he started studying Upanishads and Brahma Sutram. So there is this thing called Prasthanatrayi, which are the essence, main granthas of Advaita Vedanta. So Upanishads, Brahma Sutram, and Bhagavad Gita. So he mastered all this, and then what? And then he started teaching and writing commentaries until he was 16. And then there's a story that goes that he got another lease of life, and then he lived from 16 to 32. Okay. So I see some questions are coming, but I'm not going to concentrate on those questions. I'm going to finish so I can go with the train of thought that is there in my mind right now. So Shankara is needed. I'll give you another example why Shankara is needed. Take our simple, why I should say simple, Bhagavad Gita. Simple means because we've heard Bhagavad Gita. Meaning many of us even chant it here and there. And so there in the Bhagavad Gita, very simple example I'm going to give. In the second chapter, when Krishna starts talking about his Atma, he says, Antavanta ime dehaha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharat. He says, hey, Arjuna, you are grieving over all these people like Drona and Bhishma. Dehaha antavantaha. These bodies are going to die. They are going to perish, the bodies. So we can't worry that this fellow is going to die. The body is going to go. And at the same time, he says the Atma of these bodies, Nitya. They're all Nitya, and it is Avinashi, non-destructible. They cannot be destroyed. Therefore, hey Arjuna, you can neither protect Bhishma's body from decaying, nor can you cause the destruction of Bhishma's Atma. So what are you grieving about? And then he says, Tasmad Yudhyasva Bharata. Okay, this is a pure Sanskrit. Tasmad means therefore. And then Yudhyasva means may you fight. Hey Bharata, hey descendant of this dynasty established by Bharata, very glorious dynasty going back thousands of years. Therefore fight. This is the literal translation of this shloka. Therefore fight. He is giving an order to fight. And you know what Shankara says? Shankara says this is not a command to fight. Okay? Tell me, if I were to use a dictionary and study this Bhagavad Gita, I will say this is a command to fight. Shankara says this is not a command to fight. And the reason he says that is because Bhagavad Gita is a moksha shastram. Okay? Moksha shastram means what? A shastram which helps you recognize the true nature of Atma and the connection between this world and myself, this Jagat, myself, and therefore with that knowledge is what releases you from this bandha, from this samsara. So it has to be a moksha shastra means it has to be something where Krishna is unfolding a fact. Otherwise it will become what? It will become a rule book. You do this, you don't do that, you do this, you don't do that. and then I will convert it into a wonderful management manual. Many people say the greatest management manual available is Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, maybe you can glean management techniques from Bhagavad Gita, but it is not a management manual, my dear. You must study Advaita Vedanta and you must study the Bhagavad Gita. It is a moksha shastram. Therefore, Shankara has to come and stop us from making all these mistakes. Okay, just wanted to share with you why we need to rely on Adi Shankaracharya. Can't simply say I'm going to pick up a dictionary and study the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, quickly I will tell you Shankaracharya's works, 3 categories. First category is commentaries on Upanishads. Second category is, commentaries on Upanishads, Brahma Sutram and Bhagavad Gita on Prasthanatrayam. Second category is Stotrani. He has written many stotras, about 60 or 65, 66, 67 stotras on all devatas you can think of, Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesha. So, Ganesha Pancharatnam, Mudakarat, Modakam, all written by Shankaracharya. Subramanya Bhujangam is there. Like this, stotras, Devi stotras, many. And he's also written a third piece of work, his own original works of Advaita Vedanta. Not a commentary, not a stotra. His own works like Viveka Chudamani, like Atma Bodha, etc., etc. Upadesa Sahasri. Great Vedanta texts. And so we actually study his texts first before actually getting into Upanishads and the Bhashyam of Bhagavad Gita. So that's Shankara's contribution. It's a very big contribution. So I'm looking at my clock. I've got 5 more minutes. So I think I can finish. So my topic was, why is Shankaracharya relevant, or is he relevant to us? Okay. Now, it is easy for me to say Shankaracharya is relevant to me because I'm studying Shankara Bhashyam and I have quit everything and I'm dedicating or trying to dedicate my life to this. Therefore, it is relevant to me. That's very easy, very obvious. Suppose the parent asks me, somebody says, I lost my job because of this COVID. And so, can I study Shankara and then can I get a job? What will I say? No. And then somebody else says, I am not getting a promotion in my job. It's been 6 years. If I study Shankara, will I get a promotion? No. The guy in the college says, I want to get a good job. I've got all these grades, but I want a good job in a good company. Can I study Shankara and get a good job? No. All these questions, answer is no. Now, this is a superficial way of looking at something like a grand Siddhanta. I don't want to call philosophy because there is a big difference between philosophy and Siddhanta, which I won't cover this time. And so, for such a big Siddhanta, you can't give these examples. Now, you look at simple your smartphone, and it's advancing every few months. Their new design, new version is coming. And how do you think these advances are coming? There's so many people working on it: electrical engineers, electronic engineers, mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, etc., and other psychologists also working on it. But at the fundamental level, there are particle physicists working on it. And you know what they're doing? They are manipulating atoms. Just like when you make idlis on the plate, you decide to put idli here and then another spoon of idli here and idli here before you put it in the oven, in the cooker. Like that, these particle physicists are determining how to organize these atoms. That is why you see your phones making giant leaps every few months. So you have to go to the fundamental level in order to understand the reality that you perceive with the naked eye. Just an example I wanted to give you. I'll give you another perspective, okay? How do these Western societies, what do they claim to be their heritage? We talk about Adi Shankaracharya, we talk about Chanakya, we talk about Vidyaranya Muni who established the Vijayanagaram Empire, but before that he had written so many granthas. We talk about Appaya Dikshita, we talk about Ramarai Kavi and so forth. What do these Western people talk about? Do they have all this? You have to Google and look up. How do they train these students, the high school students and college students? How do they get an idea of what their country's worldview is? Okay. If you look up what is called immersion program, you should look it up. Here is what an example, sample immersion program. I'm going to try to quote exactly what the University of Chicago or what the Harvard University or University of Columbia will say to a potential applicant to the master's or the PhD program of their university, of their school of philosophy. You know what they say? Immersion program. In the immersion program, they will say, you will spend some time in Europe. You will go through a journey of Western civilization and you will get an opportunity to learn the origins of Western civilization, its political history, its art, its culture. Okay, starting from Greece and then to Rome, and then Rome means what? The Renaissance, and then to the Enlightenment era of France. You will be using the experiential learning technique where you will actually be living with the family in France or in whichever city in Europe you go. You will see all the heritage sites, and you will be using this new cultural environment as your classroom. Look at the words they use. You'll be using that as your classroom. You will be reading Socrates and Plato and Aristotle in the Athenian Parthenon. I'm just literally saying what I read. Athenian Parthenon. Okay, Parthenon is all ruins, all big pillars. It's a temple those days, 2,500 years ago, and Socrates and Plato debated there. Okay, you will be studying. You'll be studying there, and then he says, and then you will be following the footsteps of Julius Caesar and Marcus Aurelius in Florence and Siena in Italy. Okay. And then you will marvel at Botticelli's, the birth of Venus in the Uffizi of Florence. Look at that. Botticelli is a painter, and he did some great work, many great works. One of which is the birth of Venus. Okay, and then you will be discussing French Revolution in the Place de la Concorde in Paris. Okay, this is a program, a 2-month immersion program offered to these youth that are joining the college. Now tell me, if this is the type of program that is offered, if I am a teenager, I'm a youth applying for college, or I've already applied and deciding to join this course, you know what I'll do? I will be ready to pack my bags and go to this European trip. Won't you? Look at the way. Their history is hardly 200 years, America. And look at what they have done to preserve their, whatever roots they call Greek roots and German roots. They quote Voltaire and they quote Holmes and they quote other people. Okay. Can we do something similar? Can we do something similar? Can we say, here is a program on Adi Shankaracharya. You will go to Kaladi and you will see how Shankara brought the Purna river far away to down close by his prayers, and so that he wanted to help his mother, so mother need not walk such a long distance. And then he studied in the Veda Padashala. You are going to see what all he studied. And then he's going to travel to so many places. We are going to go to Orissa, where he set up this mutt, Puri, And then he went from there to other places, Dwaraka, and then Joshi Math. We're going to follow him. And then we are going to follow him to Mahishmati. Mahishmati in Madhya Pradesh, which is 50 kilometers from Indore. And you're going to watch a debate between Mandana Mishra and Adi Shankaracharya. And you're going to recognize Mandana Mishra's home when you see two parrots arguing with each other. One parrot saying Sataf Pramanam, another parrot saying Parataf Pramanam, which means Vedas are self-proving or Vedas are not self-proving. It needs another Pramanam to prove itself. Then when you hear this, you will see this is Mandana Mishra's home. Like this, if we offer a course, what do you think will happen? I'm getting a lot of ideas when I see these kinds of things that America and other countries do. So is Shankaracharya relevant? You decide. If you're a parent, you can study more about Shankaracharya. There are stotras. You can learn, you can teach. You can study the meaning of these stotras and be inspired and inspire other people. If you're a teacher, nothing stops you. If you're working in the government, then open up the government for us. We will help the government put all these ideas in the textbooks, some of which we are already doing with one state. And like this, it is relevant to all of us. Because Mera Bharat Mahan, our Pradhan Mantri ji has said, Mera Bharat Mahan. Not yet Mahan. Shankaracharya has to step in. Then we can truly say, Mera Bharat Mahan. And if Shankaracharya could walk the length and breadth of this country, this Karma Bhumi, why can't I do something a little bit to this country, this Karma Bhumi? And that's why I say Shankaracharya is very much relevant to all of us, male or female, young or old, employed, unemployed, doesn't matter. It's very relevant to all of us. So it's about, I've taken 35 minutes instead of 30, so I apologize for that. But I would like to conclude with that thought in your mind. Thank you all very much. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So I leave the stage to Advaita Academy and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Jayakumar. Thank you. Will you please allow me to ask few questions from my end, which I have tried to compile on the basis of the chat questions. Is it possible to take a few questions, please?
Yeah, absolutely, I'm ready. I'm ready for questions.
Okay, I think the basic question coming out here is the blending of constant utility maximization on one hand, the pressure of constant utility maximization, and through acquisition of material means. I call it as a Benthamite utility maximization exercise, and the Shruti Praman of you quoted Shokantarati Atmavit or maybe Brahmavit Apnoti Param. So if one has to reconcile through the education system, which will help us to understand Shokantarati Atmavit, and simultaneously dispassionately get engaged into Benthamite utility maximization exercise till the time you realize the pratibhasik satta is the Vyavaharik satta. Ultimately, Vyavaharik satta is the extension of pratibhasik satta. So what is the Jagan Mithya, Mithyatva Darshan of Jagat? Till the time you realize the Mithyatva Darshan of Jagat, you get engaged into the utility maximization, and it's barely non-material. It's mostly material. So question comes is that how to reconcile these both?
Yeah, so I'll summarize your question. It's a long question, but I'll summarize it. Hey, on the one hand, I have to pursue the survival of this body and mind, right? So I have to acquire some vittam. So I have a home. I have some food to eat every day. I don't have to worry about food every day. So there is a whole life which makes me pursue and lead a life in a dharmic way. And if I can get carried away by it, then that pursuit consumes me completely. And I want more and more and more and more. Okay? So that goes on. And so, but then what if I can always pursue? The Shastram doesn't say you should not pursue any of this. In fact, the Vedas, 95-98% of the Vedas are all filled with what you should do to become better, more wealthy. So there is all these yajnas, Vajapaya yajna, Rajasuya yajna, Ashwamedha yajna. What is Ashwamedha yajna? It means I'm going to send this horse, and wherever it goes, they're all my subjects, and nobody can. If they want to protest, they have to fight against me. So I am a small king, I want to become a medium king, I want to become a big king. And then this, in Kathopanishad, what does Nachiketa's father do? He conducts a big yaga, and it's called Vishwajit again. Vishwajit yaga. Vishwajit means what? The victor over the entire world. So he is not happy being just a king there of this Bharata Khanda. He wants to rule over the entire world. Go ahead. Vedas says go ahead. Vedas doesn't stop you from anything. The question is, are you happy doing what you're doing or not? Can you sleep well in the night or not? Or is something bothering you? If things are too bothersome, one psychology professor said the amount of depression in America is more than the depression that was there during the Great Depression. Great Depression means 1910s, and there was a big crash and all that, and people were on the streets, and it was just a horrible time. And he said the amount of depression today is even more than that, he says. So the question I'm asking you is, yeah, you're welcome to do what you do. It is up to us to reconcile. That is where we are given a buddhi, is it not?
Yeah.
So we are different from animals, and so we have to use our buddhi. There's a lot more to say, but we have to, the purpose, what we say is this: hey, you have to lead a dharmic life, and that dharmic life will make you more mature, and you are able to strike the right balance. Strike the right balance, correct? There's always a balance, and you strike the right balance, and then Shastram becomes more and more relevant to you, and then Swadhyaya pravachanabhyana pramaditavyam. So don't forget the Vedas, don't forget the Shastram. You spend some time on it, then automatically things are taken care of.
I will take only one question now, which is once one gets, I don't know whether gets is the right word or not. Once one realizes the knowledge or ajnana removal, then is it possible that one gets eclipsed again by ajnana, or in that case, what happens?
So the question is, when one gets the so-called knowledge of Atma, is it possible to lose it? Is that the question?
Yeah, that's
possible to lose it. Yeah. So the answer to that is no. It is not possible to lose it because the knowledge is such. And they use some words called akhandakara, vritti, etc.
Correct.
And so then it's impossible. That's a type of knowledge. And there is a lot of discussion around it. I don't want to make it appear that this is a very simple question. It is a good question. And no, the answer is no to that question.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think. Well, I think it was a great speech. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Yeah, I have compiled those questions from audience only.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I took and compiled. Say there were a few questions. I compiled that because all the questions are veering around that. Actually, the weighting of two schools, where one is utility maximization and one is the Shokantaratyaatmavid kind of.
There is one question that is just, I happen to scroll up, and he says, Mr. Yog says, how does the evidence differ between Advaita and modern science? Specifically, how does reliance on perception, pratyaksha, differ between the two, namely Vedanta and empiricism of modern science? Okay. Do you want me to address this question?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
So it's an important question because science is rational. Science is an analysis of the world in a rational manner, logical manner, and the knowledge keeps on building. On the other hand, you have Advaita. Advaita also appears to be rational because we are not asking you to believe anything. Shankara never says you must believe this. He keeps on giving argument after argument, and you have to scratch your head constantly and trying to understand. Understanding itself means it is not a belief. Okay. Suppose I say, after death you will go to Vaikuntha because you are a very good devotee of Vishnu or Krishna. You will go to Vaikuntha. Suppose I say, what is there to understand in this? You can either believe me or our acharyas, or you don't have to believe. I don't believe all this. That you can say. But what is there to understand? Nothing is there to understand. So clearly, Advaita Vedanta and science, they seem to be going on parallel tracks. Both are rational thinking based and logic based. I will point out the main difference and stop. The main difference is this. Science involves observations. Science involves observations. All the laws of physics and chemistry and biology we studied, it's all based on observations. If you say speed is equal to distance divided by time, based on observations. You have to define speed, you have to define distance, you have to define this, and then you can do experiments, and then you can validate an equation. Correct? Validation happens through experimentation by gaining observations. Observations are done through our sense organs, of course. Now, suppose I ask the question, observer. Hey, the observer has figured out so much. We have so much knowledge today, and the science has grown so much, and it seems to keep on growing. And medical departments, there is more and more and more micro specialization. And there is the person, general physician, there is the ophthalmologist, and then there is a retinologist. The retinologist, the only thing he does is looks into the retina. You tell him there is a problem in the white side of your eye. He says, no, you go to the ophthalmologist. I am a retinologist, he says. Highly specialized. So, what about the observer? The one who is observing and developing the science so much. What is the nature of the observer? Can the observer look at the observer? Okay, listen to that. Can the observer, who is operating all these instruments, the microscopes and telescopes and watching electrons and things like that, and watching faraway planets and asteroids, that observer, can he observe the observer? Because our Advaita Vedanta is talking about the observer. Atma means that which objectifies everything, but itself not objectifiable. Can your eyes see itself? Did any time this eye, suppose the eye says, you know, Jayakumar ji, I have been helping you so much, and you are now 55 years old, and I have helped you see so many things in this world. Do me a favor, please. I want to see myself. I want to see myself. I've seen everything, but I have not seen myself. Nothing. You can't help. So this is where the external mirror is needed, so eyes can see itself. And so we say that there is really not. So the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedanta is that mirror of words which enables, which demonstrates or which shows me who I am. And so we say science is science. It is all observed. Vedanta is about the observer. And many people say, so there is a wall between these two. Many people say science is catching up. Have you heard that statement? Science is catching up. And it will say the same thing that Vedanta says. Now, very proudly they say that. But I am going to disappoint them by saying they cannot catch up. Why? Why? Because science is observing. It can never observe the observer. And therefore, science cannot catch up with Vedanta. And science need not catch up. Vedanta is Vedanta. Science is science. Both can enjoy each other. Thanks, Sanjeev. So I hope that helps.
Is it possible to take one more question? Yeah, that's very enlightening. Is it possible to take one question? Because it's a little bit of gender bias is coming in. That's why the question has to be taken. It says that in Vivekachudamani, in a very beginning shloka, Shankara says that a great thing to be born male. So women can liberate as well?
Yeah. So can women liberate as well?
That starts with Jantu Nam Narjan.
Yeah, yeah. So a few words here.
I think he is on Punsata. Punsata.
Yeah. So there are a few words here and there. See, if one thing I will tell you, if women cannot have moksha, see, so far I spoke for 40 minutes. Is there anything that refers to gender?
Gender, yeah.
At least in this 40 minutes, there was nothing referent to gender, even though I did use the word he, okay? And that's because this mind uses the word he for a general person, okay? But then, but the Shastra doesn't talk about he or she specifically. So some words here and there are the words called she. In Dakshinamurti Stotram also, one word is there. Stri Balanda, like that he says. There, that Stritvam refers to some kind of emotional weakness. Instead of saying those who are emotionally weak and get carried away by emotions, they use the word Stri. It doesn't mean women are emotionally weak. Okay? Men are emotionally weak. In fact, I see around and sometimes men are the ones who are emotionally weaker than women. Women are pretty strong. But they use the word Stri to refer to certain attributes, not to the gender, not to femininity. Okay? I want to make that point. Thanks, Sanjeev.
Thanks. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone. We now have a video session by Pratima Sagar on Kala Bhairavashtakam, Kala Mandalam, framing time in timelessness.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Sanjeev.
Thank you.
Thanks to the audience for tuning in. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Thank you.